Well, hi there and welcome. I'm Rebecca Weaver. I'm going to be looking at quadratic equations today. Let's get started. Let's say you have something that looks like this. This says x minus 3 times x plus 2 equals 0. I need to figure out what can I put in here for x that would make this thing equal 0? If you look at it, an obvious choice might be 3 if you see it, because 3 times 3 is 0. And that would work for this thing, because 0 times anything is going to be 0. But let's make it more systematic. What you'll do is you'll break these things down into factors, which is what we just learned to do. I started with factors. And I just set each one equal to 0, because if either one is 0, 0 times the other one will just be 0. So we'll have a good answer. So I just set x minus 3 equal to 0, and then I say, or x plus 2 could be 0, and it still would give me a 0. So add 3 to both sides. X is either 3, or add negative 2 to both sides. X is negative 2. So here are my two answers for this. If I plug in a 3 or I plug in a negative 2, this will work. So now instead of getting one answer, I might get 2 or 3 or 4 answers, just depending on what this thing looks like. Let's check it to see how it works. Let's check x equal 3 first. So let's plug in a 3 for x. That would give me 3 minus 3 times 3 plus 2. Does that equal 0? Well, 3 minus 3 is 0. 3 plus 2 is 5. And what is 0 times 5? Well, it is 0. So it's true. So x equal 3 works for this one. Let's try x equal negative 2. Plug in a negative 2. I would get negative 2 minus 3 times negative 2 plus 2. Is that 0? Is negative 6 times 0 equal to 0? Yeah, it is. That means x equal negative 2 is an answer. Let's try again. Let's say we have x minus 3 times 3x plus 2. This one's a little trickier. The x minus 3, we've already done that. I know that x minus 3 can be 0, but I could also have 3x plus 2 equal to 0. So what I would do is say x equal 3. And then what I would need to do for this one is subtract 2 from both sides and divide by 3. We learned how to do that earlier. This answer is negative 2/3. So we have two answers. Here's how we would check them. We check x equal negative 3. Well, we've already done this one. So plugging in, not 3. So I'd have 3 minus 3 times 3 plus 2. That'd be 0 times 11. Is that equal to 0? Yeah, it is. That thing works. Let's try the negative 2/3. It's not going to be pretty. Let's check it. Substitute in negative 2/3. So negative 2/3 minus 3 is going to be some number. I don't know what it is, but I don't care, because when I substitute in negative 2/3 here, these 3's cancel, leaving me with a negative 2 plus 2. That leaves me with some number times 0, which is 0, and that thing works as well. All right, let's look at another example. Let's say we have x times x plus 6. Now, these problems are actually easier, but for some reason students get them wrong, because that x that's hanging out is a little different than we're used to. But he's actually easier. X equals 0 is him. Then we could also say x plus 6 equals 0. So these are my two possible answers. Here I am checking it, and it works. Let me check the negative 6. Just plug it in, and it works. All right, let's go to the next one. Let's look at our last example. We have x squared minus x minus 6 equals 0. If you factor this thing, you will get x minus 3 times x plus 2. Oh, you know what? We are now having to do the whole problem. We are finishing the problem. Before, all we were doing was just factoring. So notice, this was the type of problem we had previously, and then we learned how to factor, and we found that the factors were this. And then you learn to separate it into something like this, and then you check it. So what you're going to be doing now is they're going to give you some sort of trinomial, you'll factor it, and then you'll do the rest of this process. So we've just made our problems a little bit longer. If you need any help, you know what to do. rweaver10@alaska.edu. Have a fabulous day.